Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. For everyone else that's an attendee, can you guys just do me a favor and type into the chat box whether or not you can hear me? Okay. All right, looks good. Thank you, everybody. All right, so before we get jumping on, who wants to come on today? Type into the chat box if you've got a deal, you've got an appointment that you want to talk about. All right, 100 people saying loud and clear that they can hear me. No people that want to talk about their appointments. Come on. I know we've got people that have got appointments this week. Somebody jump on and be brave.
Right? Don't be shy. Get
Forever
in
will be
there.
nice, I promise. All right, let's just give this another second. All right, cool, Eric. I will bring you in. Let me just click a couple more buttons and then we'll get going officially. Eric, are you there? Cool. All right, so what happened? You had an appointment with Steve?
Yes, yesterday I had an appointment on Plymouth Street in East Cambridge. Going into it, I was expecting it was a triple-decker that was looking to sell.
Yeah.
Found out a lot more as we got to the appointment. Very happy that Steve was able to help me out on it because I definitely needed his experience and expertise on the area.
So was this one of his leads or one of your leads or?
So this was a lead that was reassigned to me for checking into the Mojo group every day. I got it about 2 weeks ago, stayed in touch with the client, and they decided to meet yesterday to go review the property.
So let me just hit on that point really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you talk to me every day for about 10 seconds, you got a lead for a 3-family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think that property's worth?
I would say it's probably in the 1.4, 1.5 range after repair.
Okay, so 1.5, and let's say you make 2% of that, which is 30 grand. So potentially 15 after splits and everything, potentially 15 grand for spending 10 seconds a day with me on an instant message program.
Very correct, yes.
Not a bad return on your time, right?
No.
Cool. All right. So now what made you bring Steve out?
So originally I had asked Anthony to join me on Carrie's recommendation. And I actually had an appointment in the morning that I was planning on bringing Steve with. Anthony couldn't make last night, and the appointment in the morning kind of vanished. And I knew Steve knew the Medford, Cambridge area very well, so I kind of just asked him to join me along with that appointment.
Yeah, he was definitely a good selection for that area because he lives right there, and he's actually converted a couple of our Cambridge leads recently. I think he got a listing in the 1.5 and maybe one a little bit lower than that. But all right, so tell us about the appointment.
So I showed up to the appointment. It was my understanding that the two people I was meeting was a couple, but it turns out they were actually brother and sister.
Okay.
And I don't know how familiar you are with the, what's happened in the area, but it was right in the area of East Cambridge where they had that like 10 alarm fire last year.
Yep. Okay. I remember that.
And so it turns out that the family, that the brother and sister also have 4 other members that all came into these properties. It actually ended up being 2 neighboring properties.
Mm-hmm.
So they inherited 2 neighboring properties. One of the properties was affected by the fire very badly and was actually demoed all the way down to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The other property was still standing.
Did we do a CMA for this one? This property doesn't even ring a bell to me.
We did. So Ryan did a CMA last year. I think Corey Mills had met with them in the past.
So Corey met with them before there was the fire damage?
I have to check the timeline. I'm not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly what date the fire was, but I know that the CMA was for 2016. I'll just kind of check on my computer here while we're talking, see if I can pull it up. But it's kind of a weird situation because the family doesn't technically agree with what they want done with the property. Each of the 6 members has an interest in, and to put it easy, one of the 6 apartments.
Yeah.
And so the house that burned down was where the people that I met lived, and they're trying to. And again, there's a lot of moving parts, which is why it was very helpful to have Steve there, and he and I actually have to talk after this meeting to get everything on the same page. But ultimately, they're looking for an offer on both plots of land. To kind of, I don't know, buy out the other owners that don't really want interest in the property anymore, so that the 2 that we met can rebuild the house that fell down or that had been demoed.
So 2 of the people still want to live there?
So they want to move, as they put it, back home. So they're living in Somerville right now because their house was damaged, and they want to move back to that area, but they want to build again. They want to build the property that was there.
Okay, so there's 2 lots of land plus a property, or just 2 lots of land at this point?
Just 2 lots of land, 1 property, 1 demoed property. So just 2 separate plots. It's on a corner lot, so one of them's on Plymouth, one of them's on Berkshire. The property that was on Berkshire has been completely knocked down, and the one on Plymouth still stands. Has a little bit of fire damage from the fire, but.
So what do they want to happen?
Ultimately, we left the appointment that Steve is going to try to track down an offer for them. We got them to uncover that they would probably accept an offer of about 2.4 on both properties.
Yeah.
And I think we're just going to try to present that offer and see if we can make it work, if he can come up with one. Like I said, the woman and the gentleman that I met want to, I don't know if they want to have a contingency that they have the right to buy back one of the blocks so that they can rebuild. That was kind of where it was left open-ended, and I really need to lean on Steve, because I even told him last night, by the end of the appointment, I was a little bit confused as to what they actually wanted.
Yeah, definitely this is not a cookie-cutter deal in any way, shape, or form. And then so you met with the brother and sister, and then you've got 4 other people that are decision-makers, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so this one is going to be definitely, because do you even know what those 4 people want?
We don't. From their understanding, I think they want money. I think that the cash is going to talk for them right now.
Yeah.
It looks like Corey met them July 23rd. Nope, sorry. Corey had an appointment with them in September 16. And yeah, I mean, it looks like he met with them after the fire. So maybe he was a little overwhelmed, as I would have been if I had not had somebody to come with me on the appointment.
What did Steve suggest already, or did you not have that conversation?
We didn't have a chance to have it, but when we left the appointment, basically what his suggestion was to them was that, I'm going to see if I can get you an offer for 2.4 on the lot, and we'll go from there.
And the 2.4 would allow somebody to do what? How many units could then go up?
I'm not even sure. I think it's just an amount that they're looking for to sell the property. They want to sell both properties and
the existing one that wasn't ripped down is how many units as of today? A 3?
It's a 3-family, and there may be 2 bedrooms each, I think. We actually couldn't even get into the house because of the disagreement in the family. So the 2 people that we met didn't even have access to the property, which was not my understanding when booking the appointment.
Was there anyone inside that other property? No, right? Because it's not livable.
Well, my understanding is that it wasn't, but there was definitely ACs in the window, and I think one of the units was actually occupied. But the ground level unit you could tell it had been under renovations. We could look in the windows and see.
So this is like the type of deal where if this was like in Worcester, I would just be like, don't even bother with it, because there's going to be so much complexity to this to even try to get it done before you even know what's going on. But obviously we're in the exact opposite market of that, and the price point is so high that it's like going to be worth it to try to figure out any way that we can possibly get this deal done. Barbara, I know you've dealt with a lot of deals where there's a lot of different homeowners like this. Any advice that you'd give them on this with so many different parties involved?
Well, the first thing I would do is pull the deeds in public record and find out whose name is on what. Because everybody, if their family, is going to have something to say and might be involved in the decision. But I like to know who's legally capable of making a decision, and also find out if there's a family attorney of some kind that's dealing with it or that you can deal with, because then there's less emotion involved and you can maybe get a little more clarity on what's really going on.
Yeah, so right now the property, I believe, is in the father's name. And sorry, I have Trisha asking me a question behind the scenes here. Right now it's in Joe's name and Joe's father's name. I think his father has since passed, and I believe that it has all kind of worked its way down to the group of the trust, or whatever the 6 members that have interest in it are.
And is Joe the guy that met with you?
Correct, yes.
So legally it's in his name. That's a good thing.
And this was the property on Plymouth Street. I didn't actually realize that I didn't look into the other property on Berkshire. I thought it was, again, at the beginning of the appointment, I thought we were going to meet for one triple-decker, and it turned into a much larger picture when we showed up.
Yeah, it's definitely a complex one, and I think more information kind of needs to be gathered before we can even present them with something. But I do think that we do need to figure out the number that we can get them, because that's going to end up dictating whether or not it's a possibility. I mean, how long has it? So it's been vacant for a while, right?
Yeah, the fire, after a quick Google search, it happened in December of December of 15.
And I'm assuming here that they've probably met with other parties, right?
Yeah, they had another offer for less than 2.4 that they weren't very happy with. Yeah. A lot of it is I think tied up in legal and insurance kind of stuff, because everybody is suing everybody on the street. Like the street lost like 5 or 6 different structures. Like there's like 3 of them are still boarded up and fire damaged, like as is today.
Yeah.
And so I think everybody's suing the company that started the fire, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to get ironed out. So maybe it's more important that I maybe have a discussion with Steve this afternoon, and then maybe we can revisit kind of our plan of action next week. I don't know if that's what you think, but
definitely. Did you have any other ones this week that are, softballs, that you can lob over the plate for us to look like heroes here?
No, the only other appointment I had was last Thursday. I was going to take Corey Malconian on a single family in Winchester. Yeah. And I scheduled it. I confirmed with it the day of, and we showed up at the appointment, and the seller vanished. It looked to be a property that's under construction, probably that he's flipping and looking to sell, but he didn't show up. Called, texted, emailed 3 or 4 times. I haven't even been able to get in touch with him since. So it's kind of strange that he even set the appointment and then confirmed the morning of and then just vanished. I don't know. I'm having some trouble with that one too.
Yeah, that doesn't happen that often. I mean, usually when people are going to no-show, they just ignore the call that morning.
Right.
I've never personally had that happen, but I would just keep on that one. I mean, the fact that it's under construction could be a lot of different things going on. We do have cases here and there where somebody starts the project and they can't finish it. So if that's the case, someone like Corey, who does new construction in that area, may be able to either do it himself or find someone who can do it. It also could just be a case of where that person was just hoping, for whatever reason, you just overpay them. So I think you need to figure out the motivation of that particular person before kind of knowing what to do next.
Right.
But
well, as soon as I can get him on the phone again, that's going to be my plan, and hopefully we can get back out there and give it a shot.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Who else can we bring on? I'm gonna bring you off, Eric.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to get the process going. I know how you hate when no one chimes in.
Oh, yeah. No, I appreciate it. I'm going to take you off.
No worries.
Though. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, let's see here. Who else we have? So type into the chat box if you want to come on. I'm going to bring Don Little in right now, but whoever else wants to come on after him, just chime in. Don, are you there?
Hello.
You doing your homework there?
A little bit, yeah.
Nice. What are you working on?
I got 2 listings in the last 2 days.
So why didn't you volunteer to come on? I had to force you on here.
I'm sorry. I
don't you want to brag?
No.
Anthony would have jumped on in 2 seconds if he had 2 listings.
No, I'm a little shy about it sometimes. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So you had 2 listings. How many appointments did you have?
So I only had like 3 or 4 listing appointments. I've had a good weekend. Like even on top of that, there's this Dorchester off-market property that I've been trying to get another person to find a buyer with me because I'm kind of representing off-market this guy. Yep. And I was like, wait, I have a buyer that I think that might like this place. So I decided to bring my buyer this weekend, and he liked the place. So I may be getting like this off-market deal that I'm engineering too, which I'm really excited about. And I asked for $10,000 more than the guy wanted. So I'm thinking of asking instead of 2%, 4%. I wish there was a way I could obscure from the seller how much is going to me, but.
Well, what is the seller really? So you're talking about Barbara? What were you going to say?
Bordering on illegal here.
Okay. Well, so just make it an official listing. That's the thing is the owner wants to get $440. I'm able to get. This person wants to offer $460. So
why can't you get a buyer fee from the buyer? Is that not a possibility?
I could engineer it that way. Like frankly, I'm being honest. I don't know. I've never engineered an off-market deal before. So my initial going into it when I talked to Carrie, she was talking about why not just make it an official listing, make it like a 2% listing. So before it was going to be someone was going to purchase for $450, give me a 2% commission, which would be like $9,000. Yeah. So the seller would get like $441.
Yeah, so what you can't do, the thing, again, this gets into like some compliance stuff, and, I'm not, the best when it comes to knowing, everything, but you can't have your commission based on how much you get the person. So you can't say, if you were to get $430, but I get you $450, it goes from 2% to 4%. But what you can do is you can work with the buyer. And again, I think you'd have to probably get the documents from Tricia on how to do this the right way, but you can have them pay a buyer broker fee. So that would be, a way to do it. And if it's a great deal, I don't see why a buyer wouldn't do that. How many units is it?
It's a 2-unit that's being utilized like a 3-unit.
Like a 3-unit?
Yeah.
And what was my number?
So your number, I think, was around like 350, which at first he shook my hand on that. He liked that offer. I was like, oh my God, great.
Yeah.
And then he talked to his brother and said, actually, I wanted $450.
Oh, this one happened a long time ago,
Yeah,
right?
this has been, and then you found me a buyer, this guy Jason, who I showed a couple times, and then it fell through a couple times. And I said, "What? I probably have my own buyer." And I thought of it, and I came up with this guy, and I showed him the other day. He's like, "Yeah, I want it. I'm closing on my place. I'm selling on Friday, and I'll do the offer on Friday with you." So I'm kind of just trying to strategize what I'm going to do on Friday, and I don't.
So what do you have a buyer agency agreement with him?
I think I had one from a year ago that I think is probably expired at this point.
Yeah, I would try to get a new one. I would definitely talk to Trish about how to execute all this, but yeah, I mean, I think you should, be able to, get at least 4% on that, but I would talk to her on exactly how to structure it.
Okay.
So you had that one, and then did you officially list 2 of them?
So the other 2 are official. I got them signed, because that one that I lost last week, where I essentially told you I didn't push this because I know I had this woman in the bag. She said, put the sign in the front yard the second I saw her. And then some other agent calls me and says she's thinking of calling the cops on me. Yeah. It was like, what? So I just learned officially, the heck with your perception on where you're at with someone, get them signed if you can. So I had 2 appointments this week where I thought I could get them locked in. So I did. I got them signed up, and I'm doing the photos this afternoon. I was going to do one yesterday, but it was raining yesterday. I'm trying to work on my photography. I got my iPhone 8, and I want these things to look great. Yeah. So it's going to be sunny today, so I'm going to do back-to-back photos today.
So on the two that you signed, did you get them signed on the first meeting?
Yes.
So tell us about how you closed those. So talk about the last 5 minutes. How did you go from the conversation to getting the contract signed?
So in both the instances, I walked through the house probably for the first 15, 20 minutes, and I'm just looking at the place, observing, enjoying the place. I do like to come off I like their house, Mm-hmm. So, and I'm always asking questions, and in one of the circumstances, one of the listings I got, it's a very kind of gaudy house. Mm-hmm. And the guy looks just like Al Pacino, and he acts just like Scarface in a way. So it was the coolest appointment ever. Yeah, it was I got a listing from Scarface this week.
Yeah. What city was that in?
So that one is
East Boston. Gotta be East Boston.
No, Leominster.
Okay, a little bit different than East Boston.
Yeah, it's this, kind of cookie cutter neighborhood, and then this really gaudy house. And the second he saw me, he was like, "I should have never built this effing house. Built it in the craziest neighborhood. Why would I do this?" He was just he just jumped out at me the second I saw him.
Yeah.
And he had all these Mercedes in the driveway. He's going to take me for a ride in the Rolls Royce today, he said.
So at what point, so towards the end though, how did you go? Because I know, you've kind of two-stepped a lot of these listings. So in this case, how did you actually close them up in the last 5 minutes? What was that like?
So I just give them, I tell them flat out, I knew my offer was no good. So I kind of,
where were we at?
I think the offer, we're listing, I'm going to list at 525. I think the offer again was at the 354 range. Yeah.
And that's just because Leominster, to have a high price house, Leominster, probably the average sales price is about 200,000, I would guess. Mm-hmm. We don't like to be at the top end of any market. We like to be kind of in the lower end of any market. So in Leominster, we'd like to buy houses for maybe $100,000. So I kind of remember this one coming across my desk, and it was just such a nice house that it's very unlikely that an offer like that is going to get accepted. So we were way, way off from what he wanted. And then, so how did you knew our offer was going to be way off. So how did you kind of transition it?
So when I was looking at the CMA, I kind of did a little extra research. I usually don't do that, but the CMA was kind of thin. There wasn't many comps. So I just did a search on MLS. I was looking for properties that had sold that were over 4,000 square feet, because this property is 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So I found one property that sold in the last 6 months that was over 4,000 square feet that went for $585. And I also found 4 that were on the market in Leominster that were over 4,000 square feet, selling between a range of, I think, like $625,000 and $750,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my technical analysis for him, was basically saying, you're kind of stuck by where you are. The properties don't sell for a lot of money here. You have a really nice property, but you're in a town that's going to kind of keep you down a little bit. And he kind of had an understanding of that to begin with. So I told him I was thinking a listing recommendation of somewhere around 550 I thought would be appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I just want to walk away with 475. I just want to get 475. Mm-hmm. So I said, in that case, I think maybe, if we were to list it at 525, I think it would actually, you could probably achieve that 475 and it would be attractive to a buyer. So he said, all right, let's do it. And it wasn't that hard. I had such a good conversation with him about just life and politics that it was like we were friends and this was just going to happen.
Yeah. So that one was just a rapport. And did he give you any sort of pushback at all?
He's a very smart, savvy business person. So when I went for the 6% listing, he rolled his eyes like you got to be kidding me, kid. So he just immediately dropped it down. He's like, I've talked to people who could do it for 2%. I said, the lowest I can really do is 4%.
So Anthony, what do you do when people push back on the percentage? Because I'm sure you get that on a decent amount of them when you go for a higher percentage.
Yeah. So in this particular case, when you have somebody's number and they want, 475, but the house could possibly list for 550, I love that because it allows me to pitch how I build my fee in on top of what the seller wants. So if you were actually able to get that 475 from the seller before you came out with the 550 and you talked about more like what he wanted, you'd be able to pitch, well, our marketing is, what I like to do is I like to build my fee on what I can get the seller. So if the seller wants 475 and I want a 6% listing, adding 25,000 to it, I say, well, listen, Mr. Seller, I'm going to get the buyer to pay you and pay me. I'm not trying to get into your pocket. So if you want 475 and I add my 6% on, I'm going to have the buyer pay me and the buyer pay you. And in this case, there was a lot of room there. So that pitch would have really came in handy. And even though he said he could have someone do it for 2%, but that's because he's in the mindset that he's paying out of pocket for it. But if you said, listen, I'm going to get the buyer to pay us both, it's just a different perspective. And that's how I usually, pitch it, is our marketing is going to get me my fee on top of what you want that's comfortable for you. And so it works for me a lot of times. But you really have to have a good sense of what the home is worth versus what they want. And in that particular case, it was perfect for this kind of pitch. And you could have pitched your 6% on top of what they wanted.
I like that.
Yeah, so that's just a strategy. I mean, obviously at the end of the day, we don't know how someone's going to respond, even if you have the 100% best kind of rebuttal for everything. But just before, when you were trying to two-step the listing process, you want to try to do it the best way that you can, because you're going to end up making more money. You learned your lesson the last time about, letting somebody go and not getting them signed in the first appointment. So now you kind of have perfected that. Now you went, 2 for 2 on face-to-face seller appointments without having to go back. And now the next step, this is another just, way to get you a little bit more money. So what about the second one?
So the other one, it's kind of funny. I went out there. It got in my calendar a few times. I drove for an hour and a half to this woman's place 3 times.
Where is that?
So this one is in not Brockton. I'm sorry. It's becoming like a blur to me a little bit. Milton.
Okay, close enough.
Yeah.
So, on the South Shore.
Brockton.
I had an open house in Brockton this weekend.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think I got it. I think I got that one locked up. And another listing, someone wants to buy and sell at the same time, so I'm meeting with them tomorrow to list their place.
So you getting pretty busy right now?
Yes, I'm loving the activity. Like,
hey, this is kind of off topic, but is your wife still getting licensed?
She is. She's only a few hours away from doing the 40 hours. And then,
okay, nice.
The test. Yeah.
All right. Cool. When is she going to be jumping on board? Do you know?
I mean, she's helping me like scheduling and doing all that stuff now, but she's going to be official. I think she'll be licensed within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, good deal. All right, you might want to consult with Anthony on how working with your significant other works, but he can probably give you some advice on that.
Yeah,
but, all right. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, don't do it.
Yeah. I'll see.
So what happened on the other one? The other one that you landed.
In Milton? Okay, so in Milton, I met with the owner, and she was just very laid back and easy about the whole thing. You know, sure, kind of an empty nest situation, divorced, children are going to college. So she's basically looking to downsize. And I walked around a little bit, just looked at the place. She actually didn't accompany me for everything. Like when I went in the backyard, she wasn't out there. And I just kind of went back there and kind of tried to think about what I was gonna pitch this, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I went back inside. I sat at the table with her. I went through the CMA with her.
What was my number?
So your number was, I think it was about 400,
mm-hmm.
and we were talking about listing at 530.
Mm-hmm.
So and looking at the place, I kind of gave her a range. I wasn't even specific about a listing number. I said, you know, we were talking about, we looked at all the comps, and I was saying kind of based on what I'm seeing, you know, we're talking about somewhere between 5 and 6, mm-hmm. you know, and I said, you know, I think 6 is we're asking too much at that point. I think we're closer to 3, closer to 5. But I said 530. I said instinctively kind of feels right for me based on these numbers I'm looking at. I said, do you think that is a good number? She was agreeing. It was another situation where I felt like I had a decent conversation with her. There was a little bit of rapport. She was at ease when we were talking numbers, and she trusted me. So she agreed to list with me, and I said, would you want to sign paperwork right now? She said yes, and I didn't hesitate. I had the paperwork with me, and I got it signed right there.
What did you get for a percentage on that one?
6%.
Nice.
I asked for it, and I didn't hesitate. I didn't explain. I just said it, and she said okay.
Nice. Now, how did you know that? When did you know my offer was dead in the water?
So I was talking with her about what I always ask, like, what would you like to get out of the house?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I think she said something. She said something about something in the 400s. I think mm-hmm. she said, or which I mean, I'm listening at 530. I don't think she really had an idea of what it was worth, but she's talking in the 400s. I think so. Our offer was like 350. Mm-hmm. So I just felt like she wouldn't instinctively would have kind of just not liked that idea going down below what she was looking to get. I think they get excited when they're talking about numbers above what maybe they're expecting to get.
Anthony, tell Don how you pitched that.
So what the two pools of offers? So the first thing you have to do when you're walking into an appointment is you have to explain the benefits of selling to an investor. So I always walk in and I tell them right away that my expertise is in generating offers for sellers, and I'm able to generate from two different pools. The first pool being from the investor side, And I explain the attractiveness of the offer, of the investor offer, so that, it's close when you want, cash still, don't have to move everything out, explain all the benefits, and then give them the window with Tom's number up around the top of the window. And what you're going to do is you're going to feel the person out for that window of opportunity. So if Tom's number is 300 and you offer, well, you know what, in this pool, I'm able to generate offers in this range, you're going to feel them out for the range of the investor offer. And immediately you're going to get a response. Every single time you're going to get a response. And it's either going to be, no way, I'm all set, ice cold response, or it's going to be something where they're thinking about it, they didn't shoot it down, or, for some reason, it's either almost like it's a yes, a maybe, you go down that path. If it's an absolute stone cold no, then you want to generate from the other pool of offers, which is the market. And then on the market side, you're going to say, well, on the market side, I think I can generate offers in this area, in this range. And so you really want to go down the investor side first, explain the benefits of it, and if you can get an okay or warm response, you pursue it. But if they shut you down immediately, you segue right into the other window of offers, and then obviously the next window is going to be more attractive. So you brought them down kind of with the investor offer, and then you're bringing them right back up with the offers from the market side. And then that allows you to really pitch the marketing and how we list it, why we're different, why you're different, and why you're charging a certain percentage. And so it kind of segues from one pitch to another. And that's how I do it every time.
So I think, Don, for you, it may not have mattered on this one, and it may not have mattered on the last one, but I think in some cases, if you kind of don't even mention the investor offer, even if you know that it's a guarantee that they're not going to take my offer, if you don't even mention it and you just act like you're not even there to even give an investor offer, it may make things a little bit difficult for you, because I'm surprised did either of those people even ask what my offer was?
Yes, the second one did.
And what did you say to that?
I told them I inflated it a little bit. I think I said it was 300. Yeah. And I said, my real goal is to try to get listings. Well, I tell my pitch with that is usually that my goal is to achieve what you want to achieve. And, in some situations, the seller wants to achieve just getting out of the house quickly with no problems. And in that situation, investor offer is usually the best offer. If you're interested in getting the most for your property, I'm going to usually push for you to list the property on the market, because that's where I feel like you could get the most money.
Yeah, so I would definitely try to get Anthony's pitch down a little bit, and we're going to be working on that pitch in the Mojo group on Thursdays, and we're going to be adding some additional training to get you guys really kind of scripted up better, really, so that you aren't kind of just shooting at the hip. And again, you're sometimes, people build enough rapport, like yourself. You're a pretty good rapport builder that you can overcome not having the best script per se, but you do want to have the best script possible to convert as high as you can. So who else is on that wants to jump on? What about the ones that you didn't convert? Were those ones, did they have any shot? Did you feel like there was a point during those appointments where you stumbled at all, or what was the situation there?
I come across a lot of people who I think strictly want the offer. And they tell me, they say, when I ask them, I say, usually the first question I say is, why are you interested in selling?
Yep.
And I've been getting a lot recently of responses, I'm not interested in selling. I'm interested in getting an offer from my house. And that's what, kind of like a wall, just like,
yep. Yep.
So I came across someone like that this week, and I'm polite, and I just say, yes, absolutely, we offer that service for you, and I'm definitely here to give you that offer and give you an idea what your property is worth, and I just deal with it very professionally, and try to build rapport still,
Yep. So Anthony, what would you do on that to kind of dig deeper on those people?
Yeah, so that's actually like the perfect example of my pitch. Like I go out all the time, I get that same thing. People want to, I don't want to sell. I just been getting your letters for 2 years, and I just, you said you come out and bring me an offer, so I just want the offer. And then that's when I tell them that, yeah, we do offer cash for homes, but my expertise is generating offers. And so then I go right back into how I can generate offers, from both sides, what they look like, explain the benefits of both sides. And when somebody says that, it's just, it's the perfect segue for me to really get into my pitch. I feel like that response, that objection, is an open door for me to come in and just tell them what I do and really get their attention. So I love when people tell me, oh, I don't want to sell. I just want the offer. And then I go in and I tell them all about how I generate offers, and it starts getting them interested. And then through that pitch, it's really going to open the door to whether they have that motivation to sell or not, because then you just qualify them a little bit more. And next thing you know, they're going to be telling you, well, yeah, I was thinking about it, or I wasn't, or, that sounds good, this doesn't sound good. But yeah, that objection right there, I look at as an open door.
How often do you get somebody that says that they're just, there for the offer and nothing else, and then you push back on them and then you figure out they really are selling?
Oh, yeah, I would probably say, yeah, maybe 60%, 70% of those people that always say, you've been sending me letters, or I've been getting calls for 2 years and everyone wants to make me an offer. So what's the offer? Yeah, I get that half the time. And so, but what happens is when you have a good pitch and you break through that and you start to get inside and you start to qualify them and ask them the right questions, with a strong pitch and the right qualifying questions, you're going to open them up and you're going to realize their motivation. And I think half of the people that I talk to are, you're out there, and no matter what they say.
That's what I was just going to say. No matter what they say, they didn't call that number for fun. They didn't fill out the form for fun. There's got to be, there's not a 0 level of motivation ever, or else they wouldn't have met you. Now, there could be a 1 or a 2, but there's not nothing. So with that being said, though, Anthony, when do you know that they really aren't selling? Like, what are some of the types of things that they tell you that lead you to believe, like, man, this can't go anywhere. There's no way.
Well, I went on a seller appointment with John this weekend. I emailed you about it. We were talking to them about investor offers. I did the whole pitch, and I told them about the window of opportunity for investor offers, shot it down immediately, because the investor offers were right around the 450, 500 range. Then I went to, in the other pool of offers I can generate offers up in the 700s, and 700 was like the absolute top max for this home. Mm-hmm. And they were shooting that down. Oh, no way. I wouldn't move for that. And they were just completely, and they had it in their head that they could get 900,000 or 950,000. And I just didn't see it at all in anything that I looked at. And I thought it was way too high, but they had it in their heads. And some people are convinced that their property's worth $1 million and they're not going to take anything less. And so sometimes it takes a couple of appointments to really, bring them down to reality and deflate that balloon a little bit, because, we were out there, we built really good rapport. They liked us, they were very friendly. They were just unrealistic. And so when they start to tell you that, they want 200 grand over what anything on the market is selling for, that's kind of a sign that, this is probably not going to turn out to be anything. Mm-hmm. And, so you can't really close somebody when their expectations are ridiculous. And not to say they don't come down to reality one day, but at the same time, I knew it wasn't going well when I told them the top of the market value, and they said right away, no way, wouldn't move for it. And so, that's a good sign.
And you got that by giving them the range. How soon into the meeting?
It was probably, I always give the range in that pitch. I start the pitch right after my walkthrough. Right after I build some rapport, I walk the home, I walk the yard, after I compliment the house, after after my rapport building stage, after the greet. Yep. After my greet, I do my presentation. And then through my presentation, I qualify and then eventually close. And so my presentation is my pitch. I'm presenting myself, I'm presenting the company, I'm presenting how offers are going to look on both sides. And then, from that, I go right into it. So on some appointments, I will be into my pitch in the first, 15, 20 minutes. Other times, if walking the place and talking takes a half an hour, I'll go into it then. But right after I walk it and I'm talking and building rapport, it's the first thing I go into about how, what the offers are going to look like from both sides and my expertise. And hopefully we're sitting down having this conversation. And but it's the first thing I do.
Makes sense. Barbara, how about you? Did you have any appointments this week? I know you did, but
I had a lot of appointments. About half of them canceled or no-showed. I did pick up a listing.
Okay.
Which, I'm not excited about, because I just like to make an acquisition and I don't really want to list this house in Lynn.
Yep.
But
Don, I'm going to bring you off, by the way. Thank you for coming on.
It was I met with a family in Lynn, and they were highly motivated to sell, and it was absolutely should have been an acquisition house by by the condition. It should have been an acquisition, but they owe more than what the offer was.
Yep.
And even then, I still was kind of, what I do differently is I'm always on the acquisition. I don't go into the listing or even trying to list until I've exhausted every possibility of buying, right? But with what they owed, and this could have even been a short sale.
Yep.
And they would have been willing probably to do that, except that they have to buy something else. So if they short sale, they can't buy something else.
Yep.
Plus, they're not late on their payments. The guy's his credit is pretty good.
So I think that's a really important thing that you're kind of bringing up right now, that there's a financial piece to every single appointment.
Right.
And the investment piece of it, the finances are always impacted. So in this case, there just was no ability to get a deal done, even if every other box was checked for it to be an investment deal, even if they were going to be willing in their heads to sell at an investment price, even if there was the house needed a lot of work, if it kind of checked off all the boxes, but then the numbers don't work, it's impossible, which is why the mortgage.
You have to spend the time and find that out, because it's an antique, low ceilings, only 2 bedrooms up, and the third bedroom's behind the kitchen. Not in a great area. It's a back house, a back lot house.
Yep.
Everything against it.
Yep.
It had everything against it. And these people would have been totally willing to walk away, but they wouldn't get a mortgage if they did that for the next place. So I was kind of stuck. And then and they said yes. And this is what's coming up for me lately, because anybody who's around it knows, I'm all about signing them the first day. I want to sign them on that spot. But I'm trying to transition really into electronic contracts. I want everybody in dotloop. I don't want to carry these contracts. I don't want all this paper flying around. And I'm finding that people say yes, and then I email it to them. I'll email you this and click it off, and then I get hesitation because I didn't close them on the spot. So that happened with this guy.
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest with you, I think that's a big mistake to try to do it the way you're talking about doing it, because I think if you can get someone to sign with paper on the spot, you got to do it. And I think you need to have the paper with you at all times.
Well, I always have the acquisition contract.
But even a listing, I think
do paper.
I'd rather have you, toss the paper over to one of our administrative people and get that, into dotloop for you than go back to the office and then they don't end up signing because Anthony, what do you bring paper?
Doing it?
I bring paper. My car is full of paper.
Okay. Yeah, it sucks to use paper in.
I'm trying to make that transition, so I'll now I'm thinking maybe I should have them sign the listing contract and then just get all the backup documents in dotloop.
Well, yeah, why not get them to sign the listing paper so you're under contract and then go back to the office and then
Right, and back, and the other, so they have signed it, but it took me a while because they said no. And the other thing with these people, and this is of interest to anybody that's listening, they needed to buy. I needed to know whether they really qualified. It's just because somebody says they're qualified to buy the next house doesn't mean they are, and I can't sell theirs if they have nowhere to go.
Yep.
So I sent them to a loan officer, and he talked to the guy, and then he didn't want to give him his social because he didn't want him to pull the credit. So then I had to go back to him and have another conversation and say, look, you can't really do this. He was hesitant about getting the credit pulled. And he's an accountant, so he knows his math. So when he told me he could afford it, I figured he's an accountant. He probably knows. But I still wanted it verified. So he did then agree to sign off and give all his information to the lender, and that's in process, and I have the listing contract, so
nice,
for a price that I'll be lucky to sell on South Street in Lynn.
So obviously those are the ones that kind of frustrating because you get the deal but you don't know if it's going to close. All right, so it is 10:55. I've got more questions, but I've got an 11 o'clock, so I gotta wrap up. For anyone that's on right now, by the way, those Thursday at 1 o'clock meetings are going to be really good from now on, and they're going to be in Cameron Coaching on Facebook. Today's stuff is just talking about the appointments, but Thursday is actually more of the application of the sales process. So all of the objections that we get, how we walk through an appointment, what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to say, definitely check out the Thursday at 1 p.m.s. And if you, for whatever reason, don't have access to Cameron Coaching, definitely let me know. Thank you guys, Anthony, Barbara, and Dawn for coming on. And, we've got a bunch of other people on here. Guys, definitely come on. I want to hear about your appointments for sure, because we can definitely help you. I mean, just the stuff that we went through with Don today, I think is going to make a difference in what he's doing on a day-to-day. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know, and we'll keep plugging along. So thank you guys for being on.
Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, Facebook fans.
Bye.